What's up, people? We're going to talk about our first pump gun here on the channel, and that would be the Empire Sniper. The Sniper is kind of one of two cheaper pump options. This one's $380. It's still a decent amount of money. The other would be the Azodin Chaos Pump 3. That gun is $250, and I'm hoping in this video we can kind of give you some reasons why this gun may be worth that extra little bit of money. Just in general, I've kind of been looking at getting into pump for those days when there's a lot of rec players out or people using rental guns. I think pump kind of requires you to think a little bit more on the field. You don't have the ramping abilities in your gun to lay down just a ton of paint, so you have to move around a little more. When you do shoot, you have to be on target because you only get, your one shot before you have to tuck back in. Yeah, so pump's just fun. When you get kills with the pump, it's a great feeling, especially when you're going up against people that have expensive speedball type markers. So, like I do in all my reviews, we'll just kind of go around the gun and tell you about different features, things that I like, things that I don't care for. Before I get into that, just coming straight out of the box, I did have some issues. The bottom macro fitting had a leak. And this is from the factory, so that fitting was leaking, and just in general I found that the Empire put those fittings together poorly, and I was getting a couple small leaks in the body of the gun that would go away after a shot or two. Those have kind of resolved themselves, not things that really affect the performance of the gun, but are just kind of annoyances. I would have liked to, obviously not had leaks from a brand new gun, even if they are small. The bolt also had an incredible amount of lube, way more than any gun ever needs. This pump guide rod also had a ton of lube. It was getting all over the body of the gun when during the pump stroke, all over the pump handle. Way more lube than is necessary. And just in general from Empire, I'm even seeing the new X 2.0 come with a crazy amount of lube on the bolt. I don't know why they're doing that. They don't need to. Anyways, first off, we'll talk about this ASA. I'm a big fan of this ASA. Compared to the standard kind of Empire ASA that they have on the Axis, the Mini, and the Vanquish, that one has the lever at the bottom here. And I find that can be, depending on the reg that you have on your tank, a little difficult to disengage and pull out sometimes. So I like this side lever one. And kind of the other side lever in paintball is the die airport. And obviously on the M2 they've changed that one, but the small lever on the die airport is a problem. So I'm glad Empire has a nice long lever. It makes it really easy to engage the tank. One issue I'm having with this ASA is if I screw in the bottle just a tiny bit too much, the tank won't engage. So I have to, pull my lever back out, back off the tank just a tiny bit, and then re-engage that. Not a big deal, just something to be aware of. It's kind of an annoyance. Ergonomics on this gun, I'm a big fan of. I think the pump should be a little more stretched out, just in general, because a lot of people like to run those tiny little tanks, the 13 cubic inch tanks where you get, a couple hundred shots maybe. So there's definitely plenty of room in this gun for your thumb to wrap around that front grip. And the front grip in general is very large. If you like to use the front grip, if you tend to pump and then go and hold it by the front grip, it's going to work well for you. And this small trigger guard is obviously not getting in the way. The grips do provide a good amount of grip. There's kind of this tactile, textured design here. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Some people are, so that's kind of a preference thing. What is nice is you can obviously fit at least 3 fingers down here, but 4 fingers is nice for, when you're carrying the gun around for a long period of time. It's just more comfortable, in my opinion. So not tons of issues with the grips, but I may swap them out for something else just because there are lots and lots of grip options out there for this style of frame. Trigger, single trigger. It's light. It doesn't require a ton of force, and you know, not really any issues with it. So we won't go crazy in depth on a simple trigger like that. Sorry about that, guys. It's kind of some rain going on and some crazy wind here, so I'm trying to catch this video in between bouts of rain, and so if there's a little background noise, that's what that is. Hopefully it's not too bad. So moving on from the trigger, the gun does have detents. If you're not familiar with pump, those detents aren't like your traditional gun detents where it holds the ball in place. It's actually more to prevent double feeding, triple feeding. You do have to underbore your paint to prevent balls from rolling out of the barrel. So that's very important when you're playing pump. If you overbore, paint's just going to roll right out of the gun. The feed neck on Empire guns. I'm a big fan of Empire's feed necks. My lever, you know, I haven't used this gun a ton, a decent amount. The lever is a little stiff. But they do give you the wheel style tightening mechanism, and I think I like this one a little better than the Planet Eclipse style, just because I think it looks better. It's more streamlined, doesn't kind of stick out like a sore thumb. I don't like the look of that Planet Eclipse wheel, but definitely a better style to me than the ones where you undo the lever and spin the lever around. Because you can kind of fine-tune how tight that is on your hopper. Good feed neck. There is a gauge here on the side of the regulator. I like on my guns being able to see what pressure they're running at. I think it's a good way of telling if there's an issue with the gun. So if I have to turn the pressure up really high to reach velocity, that tells me that there's something going on. I probably need to clean out my reg, do maintenance on it. So in general, I like having that. This one gives you the nice feature of being able to change which side it's on. So you can move it over here if you'd like. So I like having that gauge there. As far as the reg goes and consistency of the gun, very solid for me out of the box. I haven't put a crazy amount of paint through the gun. So I expect that it's going to break in and become even more consistent, but no issues with consistency or the pressure creeping up after it's been sitting in my gear bag for a while. It tends to stay right around the same pressure. So no issues there. Obviously what we want to get into now is the pump quality, the shot quality. That's what you're really looking for. In my opinion, just in general, it's all around a better shooting, better pump action gun than the KP3 is. And that isn't to say that the KP3 is a slouch in those departments. I think this gun is just outperforms it, in my opinion. So the pump handle isn't my favorite. I don't care for the design that they put into it. I find that it's kind of suited for you to hold your fingers straight up and down. And just in general, a lot of people like to kind of wrap around the front of the pump handle, or I find my fingers like to be angled like that. It's just hard for me to find a super comfortable position on this pump handle. Companies do make options to swap this handle out, and I would prefer that it was a little bit longer. So I think I'm going to go with something else. It's okay if it fits your hands well. Then it's going to work for you. It just, for me, it doesn't feel super natural finding a grip on it. You do get a Hitman mod stock on this gun. I like the Hitman mod mainly because I'm not the biggest fan of the pump handle, so I find myself using that Hitman mod a lot. Probably if I had a different pump handle, I would take off the Hitman mod. But the reach is nothing crazy. You can comfortably hold it pretty darn well around the reg and operate the Hitman mod. So I do like that. The pump action is quite smooth. I can't really compare it to the CCMs, the Phantoms, or the Bob Long MVP, and I'll just assume that those have a little bit better pump stroke. But I don't have any issues with this one. There's no problems with it for me. From there, talk about side-to-side play. The handle doesn't have a lot of side-to-side play. A little bit, just not a ton, and it's not something that I really notice when I'm out playing. Just not enough for me to really care about it. So you do get 2 rods for the pump handle, and in general, I just think the pump action is really nice. One of the features that you'll get on this over the cheaper KP3 that a lot of people look at in the pump market is an auto trigger. If you don't know how auto trigger works, essentially it allows it so you hold down the trigger, and when you pump the gun and release, it will fire. So I don't have to pump it and then click the trigger in. I can just hold that down and pump away, and it will continue to fire paint. I really like that for situations where you kind of get pinned down by people with electronic markers. They're raining down a lot of paint, and you need to fire back at them. It's nice to have. There are a lot of purists in the pump world that don't care for auto triggers. So if you like auto trigger, you don't get that in the Chaos pump. That's one of the main reasons you might think about stepping up to the Sniper. Just kind of a nice feature to have, and if you want it, you got to step up a little bit in your price tag. You don't get it in that $250 range. But this gun isn't a crazy amount more money. You do get some good value pieces. Shot quality, I don't tend to care as much about the smoothness of my pump gun, because the action of me pumping this is going to cause the barrel to move around much more than the shot does. In general, it's relatively quiet. Doesn't have a crazy amount of kick. It's generally pretty air efficient. I haven't tested that a ton, because when you go out with a pump, you're not necessarily shooting you know, a full pod pack of paint, but it's enough for my needs. Maybe I'll try and test that more. I'm thinking about using this for Super Game. I am local to the Northwest, so I will be playing Super Game. I may just play with this the entire time. Undecided. We'll see how that goes, but I'll be able to test the air efficiency a little better in that situation. Yeah, there you go. Shot quality, just an all-around smooth, quiet, you know, good pump action. I don't have any issues with the shot quality. I think it's solid. It's been reliable for me for the, you know, not crazy long time period that I've owned it, but you know, while I've used it, I haven't had major issues. So now we've got to talk about some items with this gun that you get that kind of give it some extra value, maybe make it worth that $380 price tag for you. Here they are. You get an awesome barrel kit. It comes with 6.75 back, a 6.80 back, and a 6.85 back. Nice long 7.5-inch control bores. Paintball in general is going towards longer control bores. This kit, the honing's nice. I don't have any issues with it. I think this is one of the best cheap kits that you can get in paintball. Occasionally you'll see someone on the used market selling off a sniper kit or resurrection kit. They'll only ask like 40 or 50 bucks, and it'll be in decent condition. If you're in the market for new barrels, even if you don't have a pump, I think this is a good autococker threaded barrel kit. So solid. I think this adds a lot of value to the gun. You get 3 pieces. You can find the 6.90 back. Actually, you can buy it new. I think it's like 25 bucks if you want to fill out the set. These nice small bore sizes are good for underboring your paint with a pump gun. If you buy that Zodin gun I talked about, you only get bore size down to 6.81, and you get 2 back. So 6.81 and 6.85, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, really nice barrel kit. Adds a lot of value for me to this gun. You also get this cool 10-round tube stock class style feed system. Around me, I see people are doing a lot more limited paint events, and they'll require that you either run mag-fed or you run this style of 10-round feed system. Yeah, I'm a big fan of having this in the box. You don't have to go buy an adapter for this. I'm a big fan of this. Great value piece for me. There you go. Empire Sniper, an all-around solid kind of mid-level pump. Just a good gun. Also, if you're into upgrading your gun, there's lots of options for this style. Inception Designs makes some pieces. I'm thinking about getting those, and you'll see videos on what those do to my gun if I do decide to put my money into that. Lastly, I've got to give a shout out. I like to support smaller companies in paintball. My shout out is to Vintage Paintball. When I was in the market for a new pump, I was kind of asking questions on PB Nation forums. They contacted me and said, hey, we have our last sniper in stock. We're trying to get rid of it. We'll cut you a good deal. That's why I have one that's new instead of used. So Vintage Paintball, they also operate Vintage Paintball Park. Regular pro shop, but they have some cool like lightweight jerseys and pants that I think look super awesome. So check them out. I'll put a link below. Shout out to them for getting me hooked up with this awesome gun. Subscribe to the channel. Look out for more videos, hopefully some more pump related stuff. And you know, if you have questions about this gun, pump play, or you have thoughts on other pump markers, or just your thoughts in general on this gun, leave them in the comments. I will respond as soon as I can, and look forward to seeing you later.